Here we go, kicking things off with a bang. Miss Foster steps up, barely out of high school, and claims motherhood thrust her into adult life way sooner than anticipated. She's pointing fingers at Mr. Durden, insisting he's the father of her 15-month-old whirlwind, Ian Jr. She's pushing hard for a paternity test to prove it, stressing out over the financial strain of solo parenting. You've got to see what comes next. It's a doozy.
You say getting pregnant at the age of 17 pushed you into adulthood sooner than you expected. You claim Mr. Durden is denying your 15-month-old son, Ian Durden Jr., in the court to order a paternity test so you can prove he is the father.
Buckle up for this roller coaster, folks. Mr. Durden throws back some serious denial, armed with what he claims is rock-solid proof that he's not the dad. Despite Miss Foster's tales of financial woes, Mr. Durden's contributions have been almost nil because, in his words, he doesn't want to bond with a kid that might not be his. But wait, the plot thickens dramatically from here.
Say the court should not order a DNA test because you are 100% sure that you are not Ian Jr.'s father, and you have proof. Has Mr. Durden contributed anything at all?
No, Your Honor, he has not. I'm a single parent, maybe once a pair of shoes when he was a little baby.
Oh, the plot thickens. Miss Foster lays out her exhausting daily grind. Juggling work and parenting is no joke, folks. She paints a vivid picture of her life in the red, both financially and emotionally, while raising Ian Jr. alone. She even brought her bank statements to court to show just how deep in the hole she is. Stick around, because it only gets wilder from here.
If we have children, like I want my son to have my name.
I want to have my name.
Your Honor, he is definitely the father of this child, no doubt.
And you say you're struggling to make, and that's why you're asking this court to order, and you also need help.
Like, my days are long. I call for the babysitter comes, I get ready, wait for the bus to come, get on the bus, come home late night. He sleep most of the time, so I don't even get to spend time with him he's not someone I just had a one-night stand with.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, hold on to your seats. We dive deeper into Miss Foster's financial turmoil with a breakdown of her staggering monthly costs, which leaves her sinking further into debt. She suggests that just a little financial help from Mr. Durden could keep her head above water. But don't go anywhere, because what happens next will flip the script.
You would have about $130 left over. Mr. Durden, I mean, the numbers don't lie. Without your contract, this young woman she's sinking financially, trying to take care of this child.
The reason because every time we had sex, I used condoms.
And that's why your court should paternity test. You used a condom.
Exactly, because I spent my money on condoms.
Here's where the drama really heats up. In a tale of love gone sour, Mr. Durden recounts their breakup, sparked by suspicious texts and a selfie with another man that Miss Foster can't explain away. He's convinced he's not the father based on these shenanigans. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for the explosive details coming up next.
We sat down and we talked for him. He just kept eyeing my phone. So when he was eyeing my phone, he took it, he ran in the bathroom, read some text messages that were between me and a guy that
saw a picture.
We were talking on social media. We were on a break, me and Ian were not together. He was someone who was comforting me at the time. It was not anything. We never had sex or anything like that.
I just saw messages with her, and when I saw that, I saw a picture too, actually. She took a selfie with a guy in a car.
As the tension hits a boiling point, Mr. Durden stands his ground on the condom defense, adamant that there's no way he's the father. The judge, however, isn't buying the simple wrap-up he's selling, pushing for a paternity test to cut through the fog of doubt. Brace yourself, because the courtroom is about to get even more heated.
You signed the birth certificate.
Yes.
The child's named after you. Why did you sign the birth certificate?
And it was a problem with the child being named after me. She didn't want the child to be named after me.
So you lobbied for that?
It took her mother and I think one of her friends to tell her it's the right thing to do.
You say this child is not proof, so I don't even have to order a paternity test.
When we was in the hospital room, I didn't really want to embarrass her in front of her mom and her sisters and stuff.
Can you feel the tension in the air? We're served a visual comparison of Ian Jr. and Mr. Durden as babies, and the resemblance is uncanny. Despite the striking similarity, Mr. Durden refuses to see any likeness, stubbornly sticking to his story. But hold tight, the judge's next move is something you won't want to miss.
One is Ian Jr. and the other is Mr. Durden as a child.
Exact same complexion. If you were to remove the names, you would not know who.
Mr. Durden, do you see a resemblance? You don't.
I have evidence right here saying the safety of protection of condoms.
We're doing a condom ad today in this court.
Because
I applaud you for wearing and practicing safe sex. I do. There is that 2%.
Here it is, the big reveal we've all been waiting for. After some intense anticipation, the paternity test results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Durden, you are the father.
Strap in for a wild ride. Mr. Johnson asserts that Mrs. Carr has been weaving an intricate web of paternity deceit with her daughter for nearly 2 decades. He's stepped into the courtroom to drop the bombshell that he's not the father, and he's ready to prove it today. On the flip side, Mrs. Carr is firing back, claiming Mr. Johnson has been evading DNA tests and shirking his paternal duties like a pro. And folks, you ain't seen nothing yet?
You say the defendant, Mrs. Carr, has been playing an emotional DNA game over her daughter's paternity for the past 18 years. You've brought her to court to finally end this game and prove you are not her daughter's biological father. Mrs. Carr, you say that Mr. Johnson has been dodging a DNA test and responsibilities as a father since the day you told him you were pregnant.
You think that was intense? Just wait. Mr. Johnson lays out his frustration with what he calls an emotional roller coaster. Today he's a dad, tomorrow he's not. It's like a soap opera without the commercials. Mrs. Carr counters fiercely, insisting Mr. Johnson has indeed played the father role on multiple occasions. Amidst their fiery exchange, Mr. Johnson throws a curveball by revealing another man was originally deemed the father by a DNA test. Buckle up because their backstory is up next.
What upsets you the most about this?
The lies, the up and down roller coaster. One minute I'm not her father, the next minute I am a burden with this paternity.
Ms. Carr, you say this is not true, what he's saying.
Mr. Johnson has always acknowledged my daughter.
Her daughter was first born, came to my house, sat me down on my couch and said that they had a DNA test with another man.
Here's where it gets juicy. The court dives into Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Carr's past, which isn't exactly the fairy tale romance you'd hope for. They weren't sweethearts so much as 2 ships passing, or perhaps colliding, in the night at family gatherings. Mr. Johnson recalls a single steamy encounter, while Mrs. Carr paints a picture of youthful confusion and a surprise pregnancy announcement that had Mr. Johnson packing his bags for Ohio. Next up, we peel back another layer of this paternity onion.
We had sex one time.
Okay.
One time. It was a lot of touchy-feely before, and the one time we had sex, it was wham bam, thank you ma'am.
It's not true.
Well, do you agree that you had sex with him just one time?
We have had sex
And
more
at
than
some
one
point
time.
you realized you pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. At the time I was young, I was just coming on my menstrual, so brought to my attention that my menstrual late or it had not come on when it was supposed to.
Hold on to your seats because the plot thickens. Mrs. Carr recounts the saga of her pregnancy, filled with potential fathers, and a telenovela's worth of twists. As Mr. Johnson thought another dude was the dad, he checked out emotionally and geographically. The emotional stakes are sky high as both recount the lost opportunities and confusion that followed. But wait, the DNA dance isn't over. There's more testing turmoil on the horizon.
Do you think it's yours? Wait, do I think it's mine? Do you think it's mine is the question.
We never
As she
had the
called.
conversation about I'm moving to Ohio.
Your
That
Honor, I
was the end
remember
of the
this conversation verbatim. You hear me?
No.
Like, this is something I cannot forget. Crying and snotting. I told my family member after I got off the phone with Miss Carr, I could have a baby on the way.
Nobody else in the family knew about him being a possibility. I had her on the delivery table.
As if things couldn't get more tangled, years later, Mr. Johnson finds himself sporadically in the life of the child, but still dodging certainty about his fatherhood status. He shares a bizarre twist where he was called Daddy out of the blue in a grocery store, a real, candid camera moment, minus the camera crew. This incident reignites his quest for a DNA test, but alas, no test materializes. Fasten your seatbelts, because the courtroom confrontations are about to get even more heated.
At one point in time, after her father came to my house and said that I wasn't the father, I moved on with my life. Maybe about 6 years later, I had my first daughter. They see how I'm, so I guess they say, this is your daughter now.
This is not true.
Let me tell you, I seen in a grocery store, she runs up to me, Daddy. I'm shocked at the moment, like, what the, wait a minute, Daddy. When I tell you I'm looking for camera out, I was on a prank show or something.
Prepare for the emotional whirlwind. In the heat of the courtroom, the discussion turns to the profound emotional impact of this paternity puzzle on everyone involved, especially Amber, the daughter caught in the middle. Accusations fly as Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Carr dispute the reality of their interactions and the emotional toll they've inflicted on each other and Amber. You might want to grab some popcorn because Amber's heartfelt testimony is coming up, and it's a doozy.
And all the family like, no, she's yours, you don't need to get a DNA test. And another family member when she was younger. And so I'm just full of
No, that's not
emotion.
true.
And even without the DNA test, I started accepting Miss May as my child. I know that I need to, based on what they told me in the past. I'm full-blown father now. Birthday parties, clothes, school clothes. I donated I donated plasma.
Now, from the mouth of the babe herself, Amber steps up with her own memories, or lack thereof, of Mr. Johnson, painting a picture of sporadic fatherly appearances and a lot of emotional absence. Her recount of these pivotal moments, especially her disappointment over her 10th birthday, adds a heart-wrenching layer to the drama. But don't wander off. The DNA results are about to drop, and you won't want to miss this reveal.
That he was my father, and they would show me pictures of him, and oh, you look just like him. And so I was like, okay, that's my dad. And my mother had told me that he was a part of my life, and so I don't have that many memories with. Like, there was this time I called him on the phone, I asked for a birthday. He gave me a false tracking number, and it never came, so I just forgot about it.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, like the final rose ceremony, but with more at stake. The judge delivers the DNA test results that declare,
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Here we go, opening with a bang. Ms. Moyet strides into court, determined to prove that Mr. Lester, who is 20 years older than her, is the father of her 3-month-old daughter, Neela. She's not just here for a paternity test, she's also suing for half of the child-rearing expenses, because according to her, Mr. Lester has contributed zilch. Mr. Lester, on the other hand, throws a curveball by denying paternity outright, claiming they were never an item and that Ms. Moyet wasn't exactly monogamous around the time Nyla was conceived. Strap in, because this is just the tip of the iceberg.
You're here in court today to prove that Mr. Lester, a man who is 20 years older than you, is the father of your 3-month-old daughter, Nyla Moyet. You claim Mr. Lester has done nothing for your daughter, therefore you're suing for half of child-rearing expenses.
Yes.
That you and Ms. Moyet were never in a relationship and that she had multiple sex partners, her time of conception, so you are 100% certain that you are not the father.
Things are heating up faster than a microwave dinner. Ms. Moyet lays out the scant involvement of Mr. Lester in baby Nyla's life, noting he's only provided a handful of diapers and a onesie that was clearly meant for a boy. Oops. Armed with receipts and a list of expenses, she's ready to challenge Mr. Lester's claims that he's been financially supportive. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for his comeback.
Mr. Lester, you haven't done anything for the child?
That's not correct, Your Honor. I bottles and things of that nature.
Did he buy some sleepers and some bottles?
Yes, Your Honor.
So this list of expenses that you've presented to the court, various monthly expenses, formula, diapers, wipes, clothes, expenses total $1,109 in child care expenses. Mr. Lester, you say you've contributed to some of that.
Yes.
Did someone just crank up the drama dial? Ms. Moyet drops a bombshell, revealing she had planned the pregnancy without Mr. Lester's blessing, banking on him changing his mind about wanting a baby. Despite Mr. Lester's insistence that they aren't an item, it turns out their non-relationship includes ongoing, unprotected encounters. Fasten your seatbelts. It's about to get bumpier.
When you told him about the pregnancy, what was his reaction, Ms. Moyet?
He was not happy. I actually planned this pregnancy. I went over to his house the day I was ovulating. Babe, I'm ovulating. I want to have a baby. We did nothing.
That is not true.
Yeah, we did nothing to prevent. To make matters even worse, since I've had Nyla, we still haven't done anything to prevent another one. He's actually told me. I went to my 6 week.
We don't even have sex.
Yeah.
Oh, how the plot thickens. During a fiery exchange, Mr. Lester admits to occasionally skipping protection during their trysts, which blows open the doors to potential paternity. This pivotal confession could tilt the scales in this paternity puzzle. But wait, there's more. The courtroom is about to turn up the heat even further.
Yesterday, we did have sex. That is true. Prior to that, and
Yesterday, when you had sex, did you use protection?
yeah.
No.
Iris.
Your Honor, I have no reason to lie. I planned this. I wanted to be with him. Still want to be with him.
What she's saying is you were having unprotected sex with her then, and even since this child's birth, still having unprotected sex with her possible father if in fact that sex occurred during the window of conception.
You couldn't make this stuff up if you tried. Mr. Lester is in full defense mode now, armed with a presentation of why he thinks he's not the daddy. He points to Ms. Moyet's supposed liaisons with other men, and even brings props to visualize his doubts. But don't wander off now. The judge's reaction to this circus act is priceless.
My first doubt is when I first met Miss Moyet, she told me her name was Mia. Come to find out her name was Iris. I left her name in my contents as Mia because she was always missing an act. She told me out of her own mouth she had a boyfriend.
Okay.
She didn't appreciate that I wasn't spending time with her and that she has a boyfriend that's better than me. And I asked her, well, why are you calling me tonight?
Cue the dramatic music, because here comes the DNA result everyone's been waiting for. The envelope, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lester, you are Nyla's.
Yes! Yes!
Ma'am.
Didn't I tell you?
You need to be
I'll tell you.
You won't believe this moment. Mr. Ahmad is on cloud 9, bursting with joy at the news of becoming a dad to little Nevaeh. But hold up, his world flips upside down when there's talk of another potential father. Picture this, a man who's been dreaming of fatherhood, now grappling with the gut-wrenching thought that Nevaeh might not be his. The tension is through the roof.
Mr. Ahmad, you say you were overjoyed to be a father after the birth of your first child, 22-month-old. However, you claim that you were crushed when the defendant later told you another man. You are here today to prove you are Nevaeh's father.
That bombshell dropped hard. Miss Day steps up, claiming she was straight up honest about the baby daddy drama from day one. She throws a curveball, suggesting Mr. Ahmad saw their bond as more of a supportive friendship than a romance. This throws a massive wrench into their already tangled emotional and legal mess. Buckle up, folks. It's about to get even wilder.
That you were honest with Mr. Ahmad and told him from the beginning that you did not believe he was Nevaeh's dad. You plan to another man is Nevaeh's father today. So Mr. Ahmad, there's a lot at stake for you here in court today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Brace yourself for some serious backstory. Mr. Ahmad opens up about a heartbreaking past experience with a pregnancy, making his current situation even more fraught. Imagine this, a previous ectopic pregnancy that ended tragically, amplifying his hopes and fears about becoming a dad now. And just when you think it can't get more intense, it does.
I've had a situation before where, I had lost a child because of an ectopic pregnancy. This was like my second chance, to have a child.
And it meant
my
a lot
age,
to you.
I waited 40 years to have a child. Now I come to find out that there could be a possibility that it's not.
Ms. Day, what is your response to that?
I told him the truth from the beginning, that she might not be his.
Whoa, that was a fiery showdown. Miss Day stands her ground, insisting she never outright told Mr. Ahmad he was the father. Meanwhile, Mr. Ahmad thought he was signing up for a committed relationship. Their clashing versions of their relationship and the child's paternity agreements come to light. Hold your breath for what's next.
Well, I need to talk to you. And she says, well, I'm pregnant and this is your child.
No, I didn't say she was yours. I said she might be yours and she might not.
So you're in a relationship, you think you got a girlfriend. You're saying now, Ms. Day, I really wasn't in love with Mr. Ahmad, but he was we were having a sexual relationship. He looked after me and I needed somebody to look after me at that point. You all move in together after that?
We never lived together.
This segment is a game changer. The spotlight shifts to the birth certificate drama. Miss Day claims Mr. Ahmad went rogue and signed it against her wishes, sparking a debate about their communication breakdown. These next details are make or break.
Was he present as the father of this child at the hospital?
He was present, yes, he was. But he was present because he wanted. I asked him not to sign my baby's kid until we get a DNA.
You asked him not to sign the birth certificate?
Yes, until we knew that
Why would you let somebody sign a birth certificate?
I didn't let you. You did it on your own.
Did the hospital get the information from you?
No, they asked, was he the father? And he told them yes.
Did you see that twist coming? The courtroom dives into social media posts where Miss Day gushed about Mr. Ahmad as the dad during her pregnancy. These posts throw a wrench in her previous claims, hinting she might have fueled Mr. Ahmad's belief in his paternity. Stay tuned, things are heating up.
It says, Happy Father's Day to my child's father. Even though she's not here yet, he's already amazing. He takes damn good care of her. I'm proud to call him mine.
So,
that was before she was born.
Yes.
So let's go to the next post. Happy birthday to my baby daddy. I love you, baby. She looked just like her daddy right here.
Meet the wild card. Enter Mr. Flowers, the other potential father. He admits he might be Nevaeh's dad, but kept his distance due to the uncertainty, a stark contrast to Mr. Ahmad's active role. You can cut the tension with a knife as we inch closer to the DNA results.
You've got them both on a string. If you truly believe Mr. Ahmad is not her biological father,
I don't call him. I barely ever ask him for anything. Mr. Flowers is my best friend, and he's always been there before.
Wow.
Does this testimony surprise you, Mr. Ahmad?
I don't know this man. I'm out of this situation now, and my main deal is, what is the paternity of my baby? I say she's my baby.
The moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are in, and they drop a bombshell. Mr. Flowers is the biological father of Nevaeh. This revelation shakes everyone to their core, reshuffling responsibilities and emotional connections. The fallout from this is unmissable.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Flowers.
you.
Ms. Eggleston throws a curveball right out of the gate, stating that the man who raised her and her twin sister recently shocked them with the news that he is not their biological father. They've taken their doubts to court, suspecting that his claim is driven by financial motives. You won't believe what's coming next.
You and your identical twin sister state that the man who raised you recently shocked you when he announced he is not biological father. Finances are motivating your alleged father's claims. That you know for sure that the plaintiff's father is a white man and you are not their biological dad.
Here's where the plot thickens. At a family birthday bash a year ago, Ms. Eggleston and her sister accidentally eavesdropped on a conversation that turned their world upside down. They overheard their supposed dad confessing to relatives that he wasn't their real father, sparking the need for this paternity test. Brace yourself, the drama escalates from here.
And we overheard him speaking to some of our family members saying that y'all know these not my kids. That's what he was saying. We heard him. Now we was listening. Saying to our family members, y'all know they're not my kids. I'm down here raising. But our family members didn't say anything back. Yeah, nobody said anything. It was just drama. I'm just speaking under the influence of alcohol.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, Mr. Eggleston steps up to the mic. He spills the beans, admitting he's known all along that he isn't the biological father of the twins, a bombshell he attributes to his knowledge of their mother's past relationships. Keep watching. The revelations get juicier.
None whatsoever. We grew up as him being our father. He would come visit us. He would take us out. He's been there. He's on our birth certificate. Yeah. He's our dad.
Why is it that you believe you're not their father?
Knowing from the start, I knew they wasn't mine.
Wait until you get a load of this backstory. In a humorous but insightful recount, Mr. Eggleston describes how he first met the twins' mother in a scenario involving barbecues and noticeable physical attractions. This chance meeting led to an unexpected family life, setting the stage for the complex family dynamics we see today. And guess what? There's more to come.
She was in the backyard barbecuing, and I noticed his big, beautiful smile, big breasts. And
notice those, huh?
Yeah, made a date, you know. Eventually we got together, and I'm living in her mama's basement, and not too soon after that, she's on the phone calling some guy out, telling him to send money. You know, I'm pregnant, and she's looking at me going like this.
The tension hits a new high here. The court delves into the gritty details of financial and emotional neglect as the twins confront Mr. Eggleston about his perceived shortcomings as a father. The air is thick with accusations and defenses. Fasten your seatbelt. It's about to get even bumpier.
What school club did you buy? How did you, can you as a man tell
I'm
me
a
what
single
you
parent,
did?
you know, I'm a single parent.
Claims that their childhood was less than stellar because you were negligent.
I was never able to buy 2 pair of Nike cell phones to this, you know.
You didn't buy anything.
Well, so now I get punished. I'm not money worthy, you know, to keep them happy.
This part tugs at the heartstrings. The twins reflect on the painful loss of their mother and how Mr. Eggleston's actions thereafter added to their distress. They question his motives, suspecting financial gain was at the heart of his decision to take them in. The emotional roller coaster doesn't stop here. The next turn is a doozy.
When your mom passed away, he did take you in.
Yes, and he took it. A year later, he took it. And before we left, my mom's mom told us he didn't want us till he found out he was going to be getting $900 a month. She said that he was not hollering about taking y'all to Columbus. Money was involved.
So he packed you all
and she told us
and
to
moved you
prepare
to
for that. She said, be aware.
Yeah.
Hold on to your seats, folks. Mr. Eggleston digs deeper into his doubts about being the father, citing a rare skin condition the twins have that supposedly points to a different racial heritage. This medical twist adds another layer of mystery to the ongoing paternity saga. But wait, there's more to this story.
Forget what they said, I'm gonna just figure out on my own. And I found out that the skin treatment is not just for Caucasians.
Did you bring some of that research in? So in your mind, without expressing to them, your doubts are getting validated. Is that what I'm understanding?
It was validated on her birthday. When is your mother's birthday?
August 4th.
Add 9 months to that.
Are you ready for another twist? A family friend's testimony throws a wrench into the narrative, suggesting the twins' mother had a financially incentivized relationship with another man, which might align with Mr. Eggleston's suspicions about not being the father. The suspense builds as we edge closer to the truth.
So she sent a video statement in. I'd like to play that statement, please.
Right, you say he's not the father. He should have said this from the very beginning when the first mother went Sophia. That's what he should have said when the twins were born. And I don't want Grant to tell me ever again that he's not the father.
And that's true.
The moment of truth is here, and boy, is it a doozy. The results of the paternity test are finally revealed.
When it comes to whether Mr. Rodney Eggleston is the father of Antonia and Rodnea, Mr. Eggleston are their father.
Get ready for a roller coaster. Ms. Sales claims she and Mr. Jackson were in a serious relationship and decided to have a baby. After the birth of their daughter, Mikia, Mr. Jackson denies paternity, leading Ms. Sales to seek legal confirmation and support. Buckle up because Mr. Jackson's comeback is a doozy.
Ms. Sales, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Jackson, were in a serious relationship and it was his idea to have a baby, but that your 3-year-old daughter, Micaiah, is here. He denies being her father. You want him to step up and take care of his daughter.
Did that just drop like a hot potato? Mr. Jackson refutes the claim of a serious relationship, labeling Ms. Sales as a side chick who is attempting to trap him because she wants him back. He firmly believes he is not the father of her child. The courtroom's next reaction is a popcorn moment.
That Ms. Sales is a former side chick who is trying to pin a baby on you only because she wants you back in her life. You are certain you are not her daughter's father. So Ms. Sales, explain why you opened your case today.
I opened my case today because I was with D'Amico for 5 years.
Hold on to your seats, here it comes. Ms. Sales opens her case, frustrated by Mr. Jackson's denial of their 5-year relationship and his paternity of their daughter. She attributes his denial to familial pressure and the child's lighter skin tone, which he claimed disproves his paternity due to their differing complexions. The atmosphere's about to get electric. Watch the crowd go wild.
Mr. Jackson, she said you were in a 5-year relationship. Is that true?
No, ma'am.
So what were we doing, Miko?
What were you doing?
Huh?
You know, she was like my side woman.
Your side woman?
She was your side woman.
Miko, you gonna stand her
So
lie?
it's your testimony you weren't in a relationship at all.
I mean, we had a relationship, but it wasn't serious. We was just, you know.
You left your ex to come be with me. How was we not in a relationship?
You couldn't script this any better. The court dives into the specifics of their relationship. Mr. Jackson insists it was casual and primarily sexual, while Ms. Sales argues it was meaningful and exclusive. This discrepancy highlights the core dispute over the nature of their relationship and the paternity issue. And get ready for the heat to turn up in the courtroom.
I made it clear to her before. She understood.
Stop lying. He came to my house every single day.
But you know, regardless, you could still make a baby even though she might have been your side woman. I mean, that none of that prevents you from becoming a father.
Yes, but I wasn't the only man that was smashing.
He's lying. He was the only person that I was messing with, the only person I had been with for a year before I even got pregnant.
The tension's notching up a level. The focus shifts to the circumstances surrounding the discovery of Ms. Sales' pregnancy. Despite Mr. Jackson's claim of a non-serious relationship, he accompanied her to hospital visits, which contradicts his narrative. Fasten your seatbelts. What's next is truly jaw-dropping.
And so take me to that day. How did she tell you?
First we went in, she had a situation with her urine, stuff like that, problem.
So you went to the hospital for something else?
Yes, ma'am.
I went to the doctor because
2
I
months
had
later.
a cyst ruptured stomach, so I had to go to the hospital because I was very sick, but he was my side piece, right? But he took me and went with me to the hospital. I was getting a lot of tests ran and things done to me. They was telling me no, I wasn't pregnant at the time because I had polyps.
The drama intensifies with this twist. Mr. Jackson presents a calendar to trace the timeline of their relationship and the pregnancy, attempting to establish a timeline that absolves him of paternity. The court challenges the plausibility of his claims given their frequent interactions. You won't believe what the judge will say next. Stick around.
A random person he found on my messenger that I guess had said, "What's up, hey baby?" One of the extra 100 guys that do that too, and he picked that one out because he was licensed.
Oh, so you're saying he concocted the cheating story after Micaiah was born?
Yeah.
Based upon her skin color?
Yes.
So you actually submitted a calendar to the court to outline your doubt.
I broke up with Ms. Sales June. I got back with my ex July. We went to the hospital in August to check about her uterus because she had problems.
Didn't see that coming, did you? The court hears from Mr. Jackson's sister, who supports his claim that Ms. Sales might have been involved with another man. This adds another layer to the paternity dispute, suggesting possible infidelity. Watch how Ms. Sales tackles this curveball in the next segment.
Because he said Ashley admitted to him that she had slept with the light-skinned dude with dreads, and there's a possibility that Micaiah might not be his.
And what did you tell your brother, Ms. Jackson?
I just told him to take a DNA test, which he said he tried to take one.
Faked the fallout, started crying, things like that. So we had to leave.
I drove up there. It was my car.
We had to leave.
How do you fake a fallout?
She started crying outside the building because she didn't want to take
Was you standing there for you?
No, he told me.
Now, things get deeply personal. The emotional peak of the case, where the nature of their relationship and Mr. Jackson's feelings towards Ms. Sales and the child are scrutinized. Despite his earlier denials, his actions suggest some level of care and involvement. judgment. The judge is about to drop some serious wisdom. Don't go anywhere.
You don't go sit at hospitals with your side chick. You were not committed, and yet you all were very connected in the sense you spent a lot of time
Yeah,
together.
we played house, I guess.
Right.
I feel like there's a possibility
Girl,
that
do you know who your baby daddy is?
No,
you don't.
Yes,
but
I do.
okay.
That's-
No, you don't.
I feel like a possibility that it's not my baby.
You was a side chick.
You
just mad 'cause your baby they never claimed you.
Here's the big reveal. The DNA results show.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are the father.
Now I know who my baby daddy is.
Miss Sales, you don't have to do that.
Mr. Tessiner expresses his certainty that he is not Mr. Bradley's father, highlighting discrepancies in the conception dates and the fact that another man is listed on the birth certificate and paid child support. It seems like a straightforward denial, but there's a twist coming up that you won't want to miss.
You say for 19 years you've wondered, who is my father? And you're hoping today's DNA test solves your in-family mystery. You claim you are 100% sure you are not Mr. Bradley's father. Say another man is on his birth certificate and paid child support.
Prepare for a heart tugger. Mr. Bradley describes the emotional impact of growing up without knowing his father. He shares poignant memories of feeling like an outsider at social and scouting events, highlighting the deep sense of void and longing he experienced. The emotional roller coaster doesn't stop here. The next segment turns up the drama.
Really tough going to my football games, not having a father there at my football games. My Jordan Boy Scouts, I had to go with a friend and his father, and kind of felt like a third wheel when I watched them. It's kind of tough, and not having a father myself to go camping with and to take to the juries at the Boy Scouts, and kind of just had to go with the other.
Now, here's a curveball. Mr. Tessiner explains why he doubts his paternity, noting the brevity of his relationship with Mr. Bradley's mother and his lack of knowledge about the pregnancy. His disbelief is reinforced by never being contacted about the child. Strap in, because the revelations just keep coming.
I cannot even remember having sex with her, that she was pregnant, or that a baby was born.
Never.
Never.
And so when did you first come to know you potentially had a son?
His aunt brought him to my house and said he was my baby, but I didn't believe her because I had heard nothing, knew nothing about her being pregnant.
This confession might raise some eyebrows. Ms. Bradley admits to a relationship with Mr. Tessiner, but reveals uncertainties about the pregnancy's disclosure. This moment underscores the confusion and lack of communication that exacerbated the paternity mystery. But wait, there's more intrigue just around the corner.
Thought I had told Mr. Tessiner that I was pregnant. I'm not sure on that.
What he's saying may be true.
Right.
You may not have even told him.
Right. I didn't put anybody down on the birth certificate as the dad. Sure, I thought it was my boyfriend I was dating at the time. I hadn't seen Mr. Tessiner in a long time.
Get ready for a heated exchange. A heated discussion unfolds about the name on the birth certificate, with Mr. Bradley arguing that no name should have been listed without paternity confirmation. This segment highlights the legal and emotional complexities surrounding unrecognized paternity. The next clip cranks up the tension even more.
And the name was printed on the man's name on there until 1984.
All right, gentlemen, just one at a time. I want to understand you.
He did not sign that birth certificate.
So there is another man on the birth certificate. He was paying child support.
Went to jail.
Went to jail for failure to pay the child support. All the while,
she knew who my dad was.
Here comes a plot twist. Mr. Tessiner hears rumors that the other man involved took a DNA test and was confirmed as the father, which influenced child support obligations. This revelation adds another layer of doubt and complexity to the case. Hold on to your popcorn. The story takes another sharp turn next.
other man took a paternity test,
That's
was
what I
confirmed to be the father,
That's what
and
I
that's
heard.
why responsible
That's
for
what I
child
heard.
support.
Why is she going after the other man for child support in 1984? If I'm the dad, why didn't you go after me then? I paid child support on my other kids.
You might want to grab some tissues for this part. Mr. Bradley confronts the emotional and familial consequences of the disputed paternity, expressing frustration at the lies that shaped his upbringing and the legal entanglements that affected another man's life. The emotional depth deepens in the following segment, so keep those tissues handy.
And I told him in the car that I was not his son, and I told him how much we looked alike and how much we acted alike.
Did the other man ever have doubt that
Yes,
you were
he
his
did.
biological
His sister told
child?
him, she said that I've got oceanfront property in Texas.
So she told you point blank?
Point blank. She said, I told you, because I seen her later on at my great-grandmother's funeral, or the one I thought was my great-grandmother.
As the court session nears its conclusion, Mr. Bradley emphasizes his desire for closure and the truth about his paternity, underscoring the personal toll of the ongoing uncertainty and familial strife. The buildup has been real, and the climax is just around the bend.
What they think happened, why they think it happened this way. Either one of these two people are processing what you went through as a child.
I've tried to be. If I didn't give a damn, not even thinking he's mine, I helped him get a house. I went and fixed his girlfriend's cars, his cars.
He's right. I mean, she has lied to me a lot growing up. He did help me get the house.
Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are revealed.
Mr. Tessiner, you are his father.
Strap in, because this is where the roller coaster starts. Mr. McRae opens his testimony by claiming that Ms. Moore had him convinced for 10 long months that he was the father of her daughter, DeMiracle, before dropping the bombshell that he isn't. He's in court to prove what he has believed all along, that DeMiracle is his baby. The conviction in his voice could sell ice to Eskimos. Brace yourself, the plot thickens right after this.
Mr. McRae, you claim the defendant led you to believe you fathered her daughter, DeMiracle, for 10 months until she abruptly changed her tune and told you that you are not dad. You are here to prove what you've always known, that DeMiracle is your baby.
Here comes a curveball. Ms. Moore counters with a firm nope, asserting that Mr. McRae is definitely not the biological father of her child. Instead, she claims her husband, Mr. Moore, is the real deal, and she's here to prove just that. The stage is set, the battle lines are drawn, and the air is thick with drama. What's coming next will make your jaw drop.
Ms. Moore, you say you are positive the plaintiff is not your daughter's biological father. Mr. Moore is, and you plan to prove it today. Mr. McRae, you haven't seen your daughter in almost a year and a half?
You might want to grab some tissues for this one. An emotional Mr. McRae talks about the deep bond he feels with DeMiracle, who he hasn't seen in over a year. He talks about her being his world and how seeing her picture alone brings up so many feelings. Ms. Moore quickly counters, dismissing any resemblance between Mr. McRae and DeMiracle. Hang tight, because the emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
I can't have a good relationship with a female because that's all I think about. My focus is on her. She's so gorgeous. And the more I look at her, she looks like me.
I don't think so.
Mr. McRae, until she was 10 months old, were her
father. Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about that.
I changed her. I played with her. I fed her. I just missed that. I want something that's my own. She knew that.
I did not change her.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. We discover Mr. McRae's name is on the birth certificate, officially making him the legal dad. Plot twist, right? Ms. Moore throws in another twist, claiming she was too medicated to stop him from signing. The court drama intensifies, and you won't believe what happens next.
This is a certificate of birth.
Yes,
Child's name, DeMiracle Serenity McRae. Father's name, Emmanuel Davis McRae. You are the legal father listed on this birth certificate.
Your Honor.
At the time you signed this, you had no doubt you were the biological father?
I had no doubt.
Why is his name listed as the legal father on a birth certificate if you say you knew he was not the biological father?
Because while I was drugged up in the hospital, he had signed the papers.
Time for a big reveal in the delivery room. Mr. McRae didn't just watch the birth, he cut the umbilical cord, marking his territory as the dad, or so he thought. Ms. Moore wasn't pleased, suggesting he had no right to be there. This scene is more tangled than last year's Christmas lights, and trust me, it only gets more knotted from here.
You sit there, you wait through the birth. Do you participate in the birth?
Yes, I
No,
cut the
he said
umbilical
it's
cord.
You cut the umbilical cord?
Yes, because
Yeah, he cut it, but he was sitting inside.
But wait a minute, Ms. Moore. Now, if this is not your husband, you weren't married to him, say you didn't believe he was the biological father of this child, he said he wasn't leaving unless a body bag took him out or security. Well, then why wouldn't you just call
Because I was already drugged up. They had with epidural in me and don't remember anything because I was in so much pain.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, like the finale of a fireworks show. The DNA results are in.
The biological father is Mr. Moore. He is the biological father. Can you accept that?
I can accept it. It hurts.
I know.
I gotta move on. She's still pretty to me.
The air thickens with tension as Ms. McBirth launches into her accusations. She claims Ms. Jackson defamed her on social media, calling her family deadbeats. This juicy bit adds a spicy layer to the already heated paternity dispute. You won't believe what comes next.
You petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove your son, Keitho Hughes, is not the father of Ms. Jack's 2-year-old son, Elijah Jackson, suing Ms. Jackson for $1,000 for defamation of character because you claim she posted comments on social media claiming you and your family are deadbeats. You say Ms. McBirth has been poisoning her son by convincing him he's not the biological father of your child.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more heated, Ms. McBirth lets fly with some choice words for Ms. Jackson, dubbing her trash, trouble, and trifling. The gloves are off and the mudslinging has officially begun, but wait, there's more spice coming right up.
This woman is trouble. She is trouble with a capital T. She, as a matter of fact, I call her the 3 T's. Trash, trouble, and trifling. That's what she is. The little boy looks nothing like my son or any member of my family at all.
Things get real as Ms. McBirth whips out a photo, claiming the kid bears zero resemblance to her son. She's determined to prove that her son isn't the father of Ms. Jackson's child. Buckle up, as Ms. Jackson's comeback is just around the corner.
This is a photo of your son and the child in question,
Right.
and you say the child looks nothing like your son.
That baby white as snow. There's no way that could be my grandchild or my son's baby. He has no features like none of us. Nobody in my family look like that.
And just by looking at this child, you've determined and said to yourself, I do not believe that's my grandchild.
That can't happen. There's no way.
Ms. Jackson fires back, defending her child's paternity with a passion, suggesting that looks can be deceiving, especially with kids. She's not just going to sit back and take these accusations. The tension builds. Grab your popcorn for the next part.
Obviously, you have a different opinion. So why do you think she's in so much doubt over your child?
I have no idea, to be honest. Maybe because he is so white.
Because he all the white. He ain't got no black in here. Everything I see got powder puff on it. I don't see no chocolate nowhere, okay?
No, ma'am.
Whatever.
The plot thickens as Ms. McBirth and her crew double down on their accusations, painting Ms. Jackson as a serial deceiver. The courtroom turns into a battlefield of words. The scene is set for more revelations.
Was he the only person you were intimate with during that time?
Yes, ma'am.
She knows she lying. She lying.
Has been in our life. She's never was a girlfriend. You are a vampire. You are just a fly-by-night. We didn't know anything about you. He's been in a relationship for 10 years.
Mr. Hughes has.
10 years.
10 years.
Baby.
He's been
by another woman. And those are my children.
For 10 years. So all she basically was for him was a snack cake on the side of his meal.
In a shocking plot twist, Ms. McBirth turns the heat on her own son, admitting he's no angel either. This surprising admission throws a curveball into the proceedings. The courtroom's about to turn up the heat even more.
You just had a wild sex party that got shut down by the police station last night.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Hoes in this.
Why is your neighbors complaining about the sex that goes on in your household?
There was no going on. No, read the police report. If you want
You're very tough on Ms. Jackson. Do you have anything to say about your son's behavior?
Know exactly what type of person he is. He just as trifling as she is.
Judge dives deep, questioning if another twist in the family tree could explain the child's paternity. Could there be another potential dad in this tangled web? Things are about to get even messier.
For your son to be kissing an innocent child?
Because it's not his.
It doesn't matter, really, if he's showing the child love. Brother is sleeping with her and not using protection. Couldn't he possibly be Elijah's father?
Not in this case.
Like the old saying goes.
No.
Ms. Jackson lays it all out, trying to clear the air about who the daddy might be. With a timeline that could rival a soap opera plot, she's standing her ground, but the true test is just moments away.
Were you having your son Elijah call someone else daddy?
No, man. When he sees somebody like my son sees somebody, because he's not, I mean, he's around, but he's not there every day. And so when my son sees like a tall, light-skinned guy with a head on, he's like,
no, that man was black.
No,
that man was black as my mom. You liar.
You were, wait, call someone else daddy, or you were?
He knows when he sees him, he knows, oh, daddy. He knows that's his daddy.
As we edge closer to the big reveal, the anticipation in the courtroom is palpable. Everyone's on the edge of their seats waiting for the DNA results that promise to blow the lid off this family pot. The moment of truth is about to drop.
And whether Mr. Hughes is the father, Mr. Hughes, you are Elijah's father.
That's not true. What did you do?
Strap in, because this is where the drama kicks off. The case opens with Mr. Dark painting Ms. Bailey as the villain of the piece, accusing her of promiscuity and deceit. He passionately denies being the father of her 11-month-old son, despite a past fling and the lingering shadows of a broken heart. He describes the devastating heartache that's led to today's courtroom showdown. But you'll want to stick around to see how Ms. Bailey flips the script.
Mr. Dark, you say the defendant is a promiscuous liar who broke your heart 4 years ago out on your then relationship. You admit to having a one-night stand with her 2 years ago. Furious, Bailey is now claiming you fathered her 11-month-old son, which you say is impossible.
Here's where the plot thickens. Ms. Bailey vehemently counters Mr. Dark's narrative, insisting he's unmistakably the father of her son Jimmy. She portrays him as a classic deadbeat dad, fully aware yet neglectful of his paternal duties. The emotional stakes skyrocket as both parties vehemently defend their versions of their rocky past. But wait, there's more. Mr. Dark's bombshell revelation is just around the corner.
You say Mr. Dark is a deadbeat who knows full well is your son Jameer's father. You claim there is no way anyone but Mr. Dark could have fathered your son. Mr. Dark, why would you call Ms. Bailey a promiscuous liar?
I've been knowing Ms. Bailey for probably about 7 or 8 years, and she's had a history of things like this.
You won't believe this twist. A pivotal moment unfolds when Mr. Dark shares a tale of betrayal, revealing that while he was away, Ms. Bailey's best friend spilled the beans about her infidelity. This juicy tidbit adds layers of distrust and betrayal to their saga, complicating the emotional landscape. Mr. Dark talks about his struggle to forgive, revealing the depth of his emotional wounds. Brace yourself, because the dispute about the dates is about to get dicey.
What happened to your relationship with Ms. Bailey at that point?
I tried to work past it, again, because of the things that we had already discussed, of us being a family and us trying to work things out, possibly us getting married or whatever the case may be, but I tried to work it past for about approximately a year or so.
How is it you came back together? Because Jameer is 11 months old.
We never never stopped dealing with each other along the way. Even though we separated, we still occasionally seen each other every 2 months, 3 months or so.
Get ready for some detective work. The courtroom turns into a scene of a math puzzle as they dive into conception dates and past encounters. Mr. Dark meticulously argues that the math just doesn't add up. Challenging the timeline, Ms. Bailey presents with precision and skepticism. This critical analysis raises serious doubts about the paternity claim. Up next, Mr. Dark explains how deeply he's been involved in Jimmy's life, despite his reservations.
Seen each other and had sex, or
Yes,
just seen
ma'am.
each other
Still
and
was
said
having
hello?
unprotected sex sometimes, yes, ma'am.
You kept having sex until
2016.
It was like early March.
you have sex and you didn't use protection?
No.
ma'am.
When was Jameer born?
November 13th.
And you're saying the last time you were really intimate was around, if Jameer's birth date is November 13, 2010.
You'll want to see this emotional roller coaster. In a heart-wrenching recount, Mr. Dark details his involvement in young Jimmy's life, even amidst swirling doubts about his paternity. He shares touching moments from the hospital and his ongoing engagement in the child's life, showcasing a conflict between his heart and his doubts. This poignant moment sets the stage for yet another twist. Ms. Bailey's complicated history with paternity is about to come to light.
I'm sorry?
And she
I
had
had
early.
him early. Like, I was due November 30th.
Oh, what a 30th.
So what you're saying, Mr. Dark, is this doesn't add up.
No, ma'am, no kind of way.
Because you weren't intimate until the second week of March. And
The first week, around the 6th or 7th of March.
with the calculation and the date she's using, Mr. Dark, you're saying this pregnancy would only been 8 months pregnant when you
Yes,
all
ma'am.
were intimate in March.
She had to be already pregnant. And so I guess I was just a crutch.
Here's where history seems to repeat itself. We learn about Ms. Bailey's troubling pattern with paternity disputes, revealing previous instances where fatherhood was questioned among her children. This backstory adds a rich layer to her character, suggesting a cycle of similar challenges. As this bombshell sinks in, keep your eyes peeled. Mr. Dark's current girlfriend is about to throw another wrench into the works.
Were you intimate in February during the window of conception we outlined between February 17th to February 24th? Both of you said no. So, Ms. Bailey, I must ask you respectfully, who were you intimate with during that time?
No
in
one.
February?
No one. I haven't had sex in February. No one.
Was the baby a full-term baby?
Yes, he was.
Things are heating up. Wait till you hear this. Mr. Dark's current girlfriend steps up to the stand, adding her own twist to the tale with claims about her own pregnancy and doubts about Jimmy's resemblance to Mr. Dark. Her testimony shakes up the courtroom, injecting new opinions and emotions into the already turbulent proceedings. And just when you think it can't get more intense, much anticipated DNA results are about to drop.
Thank you for joining us. You are what relationship to Mr. Dark?
I'm his current girlfriend and I'm pregnant with his child.
What would you like to tell the court?
Well, first, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like the baby looks like him.
So you do not feel like there is a physical resemblance. What else do you know about the paternity situation?
Well, my due date is November 19th. My conception date is February 24th.
The big reveal is here, and it's a game changer. As the DNA results are read aloud,
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Dark, you are the father.
Buckle up, here we go. Ms. Miller steps into the courtroom with a bombshell, asserting that her ex-fiancé, Scotty Rasmussen, who has been nothing short of a weekend warrior driving over hill and dale to see his daughter, isn't actually the father. Despite his unwavering dedication, she's been battling it out in court, repeatedly denied the DNA test that could end this saga. This opening salvo sets us up for what promises to be a roller coaster of legal drama. You'll want to stick around because the twists are just starting.
Ms. Miller, you're here to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Scotty Rasmussen, that he is not the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee Rasmussen. You claim you've been in an ongoing court battle over custody and have petitioned the court several for DNA tests, all of which have been denied. Mr. Rasmussen, you claim the real reason Ms. Miller is denying your Zaylee father is because she hates you.
Next up on this courtroom carousel, Mr. Rasmussen lays it all out, convinced that Ms. Miller's denials are fueled by sheer spite rather than fact. He talks about his epic treks, driving back and forth over 160 miles each time just to catch a glimpse of his daughter, spending more on gas than some people do on rent. His recounting paints a picture of a man not just fighting traffic, but battling for his role as a father. Hang on, as the plot thickens even further up ahead.
She just doesn't want me to have visitation. I drive 150 miles every other weekend just to pick up my daughter and drop her off. That's about 10,000 miles. That's wear and tear on my car. She doesn't have a driver's license. She doesn't have any way to bring her to me. She doesn't have any way to meet me halfway. She hates me because at the end of the relationship, when things got rocky, I'll admit it, I did go to to another woman. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, it was my mistake.
Is that true, Miss Miller?
No.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Ms. Miller throws a curveball that could rewrite the whole storyline. She explains with a timeline tighter than a drum that when little Zaylee was conceived, Mr. Rasmussen was probably gambling away in Vegas, not exactly playing the family man. This revelation introduces the shadowy figure of another man, throwing a wrench into what Mr. Rasmussen thought was a closed book. Watch as we dive deeper into this soap opera.
When she was conceived, he wasn't even in the same state, Vegas. And at that time in March, I wasn't even with him. I was with somebody else because he broke up with me because he cheated on me.
We've gotten the fact that you two have an on and off relationship that has infidelity woven through.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Mr. Rasmussen passionately recounts his dedication from prenatal appointments to the delivery room, painting himself as Father of the Year. However, Ms. Miller counters with a less flattering picture, suggesting he was more interested in his laptop than labor pains, highlighting their clashing perspectives. Their shared history is as stormy as a soap opera, with accusations flying faster than a reality TV finale. What comes next? Well, it's about to get even juicier.
I went up to my manager, my immediate supervisor, said, hey, I gotta go, my girlfriend's in labor. I went home, quickly changed my clothes, and I drove about 45 miles through a winded, wooded road in Wisconsin in December, mind you, so it was about a foot of snow on the ground. I made it to that hospital in less than 35 minutes, beat her to the hospital. The moment she was discharged, I called my boss at work and said, take some days off. I don't care if you fire me or whatever, but I gotta stay here. My daughter's being born.
Gear up for more courtroom gymnastics. The discussion shifts gears to the nitty-gritty of child support. Despite the swirling doubts about his paternity, Mr. Rasmussen has been footing bills and fueling up for visits, showing his commitment isn't just financial, but deeply personal. This segment lays bare the complexities of love, money, and paternity entangled in a legal tug-of-war. Stay tuned, the emotional climax is up next, and it's a doozy.
Why was it that you were keeping this information so close to your hip 5-6 months after Zaylee was born?
The more she grew up, the more I started noticing more of her features, the more she started looking like the other.
She looks exactly like I did when I have a picture of me when I was 3 and a picture of her from just the other day.
Let me see that. Will you hand that to me? And so this is a picture of Zaylee on the left and you as a child, Mr. Rasmussen, on the right.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Prepare for the emotional earthquake. The tension peaks as the DNA results are finally unveiled.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Rasmussen, you are not. Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
You just showed me where your priorities were right there. Because I held out hope that you weren't just acting a fool because you so mad at him that you would cheat your child out of a father. What you cheering? I'm a single mother with nobody that loves me or my child. What you cheering for?
I'm not.
No, you were.
Can you believe we're kicking off with this? The episode opens with formal greetings and introductions in the courtroom. Jerome, the court officer, gets a shout out from Judge Lake, setting a formal yet welcoming tone. Ms. Garnett, alongside her mom, steps up as the plaintiff, aiming to prove Mr. Langston is her biological father, a fact she's sure of despite his doubts. Just when you think it's a typical courtroom scene, the plot thickens.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Garnett versus Langston.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Garnett, you and your mother, Ms. Miller, have opened your case to defendant that he is your biological father because you consider him a daddy and a best friend, and state his doubt is unwarranted and demand an apology once the results are revealed.
What a curveball right at the start. Mr. Langston throws in his own twist by doubting he's Ms. Garnett's dad and is adamant he deserves an apology after the results are in, adding a serious layer of tension. This whole drama traces back to a bombshell text message, igniting a wildfire of family secrets and drama. Fasten your seatbelts. The evidence up next is juicy.
You claim you have always known you weren't Ms. Garnett's biological and feel after the results are revealed, you are the one who deserves an apology. Now, how did this all start?
It started with a text message about a couple months ago. That wasn't the very beginning, but this is why we're here. It's brought us here, and this is the evidence that I brought in today.
Did that just happen? Ms. Garnett dives deep, sharing her struggle to connect with Mr. Langston, exposing his cold shoulder and a mysterious text that hinted at hidden family skeletons. This charged moment highlights her need for closure and the tangled webs within their family tree. Get ready, because the emotional thermostat is about to go up a notch.
Almost 2 years of reaching out to my father after visiting him in 2000. I pleading to get him to respond. He wasn't responding, and he finally responded with this message.
So I think your mother blanked me and you about your birth father being me. He was missing around when you. I don't want to keep causing you pain, but I have mixed feelings about it. Talk to your mother and find out the truth.
This part is a doozy. A major turn happens when Mr. Langston admits to a nagging suspicion about not being the father ever since Ms. Garnett was born, sparking questions about why he pulled back emotionally. Ms. Garnett reminisces about their close bond, which was mysteriously disrupted, leaving her confused and heartbroken. Stay tuned, the next part tugs at the heartstrings even more.
Well, I wasn't talking to her like I normally do.
Why?
Because I was just harboring this that I had read from the beginning, that she's not my daughter. I had it read from the beginning when she was born. Yeah, I did.
Miss Garnett, you grew up as a daddy's girl. You say he's your best friend.
He's always been my dad. I've always known him to be my dad. When I became around 21 years old, that's when we started really becoming close.
This segment really turns up the heat. As the court digs deeper, Mr. Langston recalls incidents that fueled his doubt, including a suspicious scenario involving Ms. Garnett. This exploration into their family dynamics, misunderstandings, and the shadows of mistrust reveals layers you wouldn't believe. And just when you think it can't get more intense, the upcoming climax will knock your socks off.
When the baby was born, Miss Garnett, did Mr. Langston participate in the birth?
Not at all. He didn't have, he was just not that type of person. I didn't even expect it.
Did he sign the birth certificate?
No.
I paid child support, $1,700, $1,000.
So how come you didn't take that $1,500,000 and pay for a DNA test when before I turned 36?
You'll need to sit down for this one. The DNA test results come in, and boom, Mr. Langston is not the biological father. This bombshell sends shockwaves through the courtroom, leading to an outpouring of emotion from Ms. Garnett. Her reaction cuts deep, spotlighting her shattered sense of identity and the high stakes involved. The aftermath? It's even more heartrending.
In the case of Garnett versus Langston, 36-year-old Shauna Garnett. Mr. Langston, you are not the father.
Are not the father?
He is not her biological father.